to see you again.
Hey, nice to see you too. Jose Luis, how you doing?
Yes, I'm waiting for going to bed.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you're here with us. Um, and Ksenia, how about you? How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Nice. Perfect. Good to hear. And we also have Rohan. Rohan, how are you doing?
Hi, teacher. Thank you. I'm doing fine.
Nice. Good to hear. All right. And let's get started with today's story. While we've got time, I actually can't find it online except for in PDF, so we're gonna have to read it in PDF form. Um, and so let's have Rohan. Can you read the title?
Yes. A conversation with my father.
Perfect. Um, maybe conversation. Conversation.
Conversation.
Yeah, perfect. And Rohan, can you read the first two paragraphs? Actually,
Okay. So till the next, yes. The word
yeah.
next. Okay. My father is 86 years old and in bed. His heart, that bloody motor, is equally old and will not do certain jobs anymore. It still floods his head with brainy light, but it won't let his legs carry the weight of his body around the house. Despite my metaphors, this muscle failure is not due to his old earth, he says, but to a potassium shortage. Sitting on a pillow, leaning on tree, he offers last-minute advice and makes a request. I would like you to write a simple story just once more, he says, the kind Maupassant wrote or Chekhov, the kind you used to write. Just recognizable people and then write down what happened to them next.
Nice. Um, it's not due to his old heart, he says, but to a potassium shortage. Can you repeat that one more time?
It's not. Where are we? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
is
yeah, yeah. It's not due to his old heart, he says. Heart. It's not due to his old heart, he says, but to a potassium shortage.
good. Yeah. And let's have Ksenia. Can you read until the end of this page?
Yes, I say, yes, why not? That's possible. I want to please him. So I don't remember writing that way. I would like to try to tell such a story, if he means the kind that begins. There was a woman, followed by plot the absolute line between 2 points, which I always despised. Not for literal reasons, but because it makes all hope away. Everyone, real or invented, deserves the open destiny of life. Finally I thought of the story that had been happening for a couple of years right across the street. I wrote it down. Then read.
Then read. Finish
Then
this?
read. Then read it loud. Pa, I said, how about this? Do you mean something like this?
Nice. Um, okay, and so what we have is absolute. Can you repeat absolute?
Absolute?
Uh-huh. And literary reasons.
Literary reasons.
Good. Nice. And does anybody have any questions so far on this first page? Okay, pretty basic. And let's have Jose Luis. Can you read the story that she writes?
Once in my time, there was a woman and she had a son. They lived nicely in a small apartment in Manhattan. This boy, at about 15, became a Yankee, which is not unusual in our neighborhood. In order to maintain a close friendship with him, she became a Yankee too. She said it was part of the youth culture, with which she felt very much at home. After a while, for a number of reasons, the boy gave it all up and left the city, and his mother in disgust. Hopeless and alone, she grieved. We all visit her.
Really nicely done. So junkie. Can you repeat junkie?
Junkie,
And youth. Youth.
youth, youth.
Good. Okay. Um, Perfect. And does anybody have any questions about this story that she wrote? Okay. So pretty basic. What's a junkie? Does everybody know what a junkie is?
Is people who take drugs.
Yeah. Especially heroin. So we're talking about somebody who's taking heroin. Um, would be like a junkie generally. But yeah, you're totally right. Um, and Heidi, can you read until yes?
Mhm.
Or actually, yeah, maybe read until the end of this paragraph. Where?
Okay, but that it, I said, and don't and a miserable tale. But that's not what I mean, my father said. You misunderstood me on purpose. You know there are a lot more to it. You know that. You left everything out. Turgenev wouldn't do that. Chekhov wouldn't do that. There are, in fact, Russian writers you never heard of. You don't have an inkling of as good as anyone who can write a plain, ordinary story, who would not leave out what you have left out. I object not to facts, but to people sitting in trees talking senselessly, voices from who knows where. Forgot one, what have I left out now? In this one, her looks, for instance, oh, quite handsome, I think. Yes, her hair, dark, with head.
Good. Yeah, this is good. So quite handsome, yes. Um, and good. I think you did a really nice job. Let's look at unadorned. Unadorned.
And adorned.
So an unadorned and miserable tale. Good. And so, does anybody have any questions what's happening here? Okay. What is the father referring to at the end of his speech here? What's he referring to here? Does anybody know? Based on her response? Anybody? Okay. Maybe Giulietta, what do you think here? What's he referring to?
Mm, um, mm,
So he's objecting to people sitting in trees talking senselessly. Voices from who knows where. Forget about that one, Pa. What have I left out now in this one?
It's Pushkin? No?
Um, he's referring to a story that she wrote before. Um, so she apparently wrote a story where people sit in trees talk senselessly, and she's irritated that he brings it up. So she says, "Forget about that one, Pa," because apparently he's probably brought it up before in this one, in this story. What did she leave out? Does that make sense, guys?
no, I didn't understand.
Okay. So he asks her to write a story,
Mm-hmm.
and she writes a story about her neighbor, and
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't like it. That's not what he wanted. That's not the type of story he wanted. And he brings up other Russian writers who write better and who wouldn't have left out what she left out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also refers to a story that she used to write, that she wrote before. So an old story of hers where people apparently were just doing, it was like an absurd story. They were sitting in trees and talking senselessly. And then she says, forget about that one, Pa. Forget about the story that I wrote. What did I leave out of this story? What's wrong with this one? Does that make sense, guys?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And yeah, I can I'll upload this file really quickly. See if we can get this. And I'll give you guys permission after class, just so I don't take time now doing it. But that is the file. And all right, so oh no, what happened? Okay. All right, Judetta, can you read until the end of the page?
Forget the one. Oh, what, from where? Ah, hey, her. Dark, with heavy braid, as though she were a girl or a foreigner. What were her parents like? Her stock? That she became such a person. It's interesting, you know. From out of town, professional people, the first to be divorced in their country. How's that? Enough? I asked. With you, it's all a joke, he said. What about the boy's father? Why didn't you mention him? Who was he? Or was the boy born out of wedlock?
Good. Any questions so far?
What's a wedlock?
Wedlock, so born out of marriage.
Oh.
So yeah, if someone's born out of wedlock, they're born.
Yes, because wedding lock like marriage. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And any other questions? And Judetta, when we pronounce foreigner, it's the first syllable, so foreigner.
Foreign. Foreign.
Foreigner. Yeah, foreign. Perfect. And I think we're good. And let's go on to the next page. And then let's have Carolina. Which Carolina? Well, the first Carolina? Carolina C? No, not Carolina C. So the other Carolina, who is not Carolina C, can you read until consequence? Carolina?
Which one?
Yes, you, Carolina, who just answered.
Okay. Yes, I said he was born out of wedlock. For God's sakes. No, I don't know the word.
Yeah, that was
For
good.
God's sake? For God's sakes, doesn't anyone in your stories get married? Doesn't anyone have the time to run down to City Hall before they jump into bed? No, I say. In real life, yes. But in my stories, no. Why do you answer me like that? Opa, this is a simple story about a smart woman who came to New York full of interest, love, trust, excitement, very up to date, and about her son, what a hard time she had in this world. Married or not is of small consequence.
Good. Okay, awesome. Does anybody have any questions here? Does anybody get the joke that she says? All right, so no questions, nothing. All right, Carolina C, can you continue on? Oh, gosh, hold on one second.
Okay.
Until enough.
Okay. It is of great consequence, he said. Okay, I said. Okay, yourself. He said, but listen, I believe you that she's good looking, but I don't think she was so smart. That is true, I said. Actually, that that is the trouble with stories. People start out fantastic. You think they are extraordinary, but it turns out as the work goes along. They are just average with a good education. Sometimes the other way around. The person's a kind of dumb innocence, but he outwits and you outwit you and you can even think on an ending good enough.
Okay, good. He outwits you. Outwits you.
I wish you. Which one? Sorry?
Outwits. Outwits. So he outwits you.
Outwits. Outwits. And what is the meaning?
And then
Outwits.
it means he outsmarts you. He's smarter than you, the character.
Okay.
And
Outwits.
then we're looking at average.
Average. Average.
Close. Just 2 syllables. Oh, it sounds like average. Does that make sense?
Average. Yeah. Average.
No, you're still saying it with 3 syllables. So we want to say
Up.
rich. If you look in the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Average. Average.
Perfect.
Average.
There you go. Yeah. And let's read until attempt. Rohan, can you read until attempt?
Yes. What do you then, right? I was there, we were there.
Yes.
Okay. What do you do then, he asked. He had been a doctor for a couple of decades, and then an artist for a couple of decades, and is still interested in details, craft, technique. Well, you just have to let the story lie around till some agreement can be reached between you and the stubborn hero. Aren't you talking silly now? He asked. Start again, he said. It so happens that I'm not going out this evening. Tell the story again. See what you can do this time. Okay, I said, but it's not a 5-minute job. Second attempt.
Good. Yeah, so what's the joke that the father says? What's the father's joke here? Does anybody know?
That he has 5 minutes, that he is not going out.
Yeah, why isn't he going out?
Because he cannot move.
Yeah, because he's dying, you know. His heart's not doing well, and so he can't even support himself, even though he's still there in his head, which we kind of got in the beginning of the story. Really well done, though. Interested, Rohan. Can you repeat interested?
Yeah. Interested.
Yeah, good. So just one of those 3-syllable words instead of a 4-syllable word, but interested.
Interested.
And let's have Ksenia, can you read this story? We'll move on to the next page, too.
Once across the street from us there was a fine handsome woman, our neighbor. She had a son whom she loved because she'd known him since birth. In helpless chubby infancy and in the resting hanging age 7 to 10, as well as early and later. This boy, when he fell into the first and adolescence, became a junkie. He was not a hopeless one. He was in fact
Sorry.
He was in fact hopeful and idyllic and stressful converter. With his busy brilliance he wrote persuasive articles for his high school newspaper, seeking a wider audience, using important connections. He drummed into lower Manhattan newsstand distribution a periodical called "O Golden Horse".
Yeah, okay. Really nicely done. Maybe like, oh, golden horse. And let's look at adolescence. Adolescence. And ideologue.
Ideologue.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions here? Okay.
I
Ksenia,
have
what's the joke? Yeah, what's your question?
converter.
A converter. So he's like
Mm.
converting people to his way of thinking.
Oh. Mhm.
So he's a junkie, and he is like drawing people around him to believe the things that he thinks. Golden Horse is a reference to heroin.
Mm.
So it's kind of a drug reference, but he's also smart. Um, so he's writing like persuasive essays about the other things other than drugs, but drugs are a part of it. And this is a long one, but let's have Jose Luis. Can you read this paragraph?
In order to keep him from feeling guilty, because guilt is the stony heart on 9/10 of all clinically diagnosed cancers in America today, he said, and because he had always believed in giving bad habits room at home where one could keep an eye on them, she too became a Yankee. Her kitchen was famous for a while, a center for intellectual addicts who knew what they were doing. A few felt artistic, like Coleridge, and others were as scientific and revolutionary, like Leary. Although she was often high herself, certain good mothering reflexes remained, and she saw to it that there was lots of orange juice around and honey and milk in vitamins pills. However, she never cooked anything but chili, and that no more than once a week. She explained when we talked to her seriously with neighborly concern that it was her part in the youth culture, and she would rather be with the young. It was an honor than with her own generation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Really good reading. There's a lot. Can you repeat diagnosed? Diagnosed?
Diagnosed
Yeah. And junkie again?
junkie,
Or reflexes?
reflexive,
Nice. And vitamin.
vitamin.
However,
However,
cooked,
cooked,
culture,
culture,
culture, culture,
culture, culture,
honor, honor.
honor.
Nice. Any questions here? Okay. Heidi, can you read the next two paragraphs?
From where?
From 1 week.
1 week, while nodding through an Antonioni film, this boy was severely jabbed by the elbow of the storm and proselytizing
Proselytizing. That's a really tough word.
girl sitting beside him. She offered immediate apricot and nuts for his sugar level, spoke to him sharply, and took him home. She had heard of him, and his work as she herself published, edited, and wrote a competitive journal called Man Doesn't Live by Bread Alone. In the organic heart of her continuous presence, he could not help but become interested once more in his muscle, his arteries, and nerve connections. In fact, he began to love them. treasure them, prize them with funny little things in songs in Man Does Love, Man Does Live.
Good. Let's look at severely. Heidi, can you repeat severely?
Pardon?
Can you repeat severely?
Pardon?
Severely. Severely. Severely.
Severely.
Uh-huh. Heat.
Pardon?
Heat. Heat.
Heat.
Mm-hmm. Treasure.
Pardon?
Treasure.
Could you
Treasure.
say louder? A little bit
Yeah,
louder.
treasure.
Pardon?
Treasure.
Pleasure.
Treasure.
Pleasure.
Treasure.
Treasure.
And praise.
Praise.
Good. Questions here. Proselytizing? Does anybody know what proselytizing means? Anybody?
To talk, to convince
Yeah,
people.
it's like exactly just to convince people to do something. So she is also a persuasive writer. Good. And so let's have Giulietta. Can you start off by reading this poem?
The fingers of my flesh transcend my transcendental soul. The tightness in my shoulders and my teeth have made me whole.
Good. So he's praising his, body. Saying that his fingers and his flesh go beyond his like endless soul, and yeah, this like idea of your bodily functions. He's praising his bodily functions again. Giulietta, can you read the next paragraph as well?
To the mouth of his head, that glory of will and determination, he brought hard apples, nuts, wheat germ, and soybean oil. He said to his old friends, "From now on, I guess I'll keep my wits about me. I'm going on the notch." He said he was about to begin a spiritual deep-breathing journey. "How about you too, Mom?" he asked kindly.
Good. Really nice job. I'm going on the natch. What's that mean? Does anybody know?
Nature?
What?
Nature?
Nature?
Yeah.
Okay. Not quite. It's actually so it means that he's gonna quit drugs. He's going on the natch. He's stopping doing drugs. It's really slang, and you probably will never see it again. But that's what it means. It could be like going natural, which would be like not doing drugs anymore too. I just know it means he's not doing drugs anymore. And he's trying to convince his mom to do the same. All right. Do we have any questions so far?
He's going to rehab.
He's not going to rehab. He's just stopping. He's just not going to do drugs anymore. Kind of going cold turkey.
Okay.
Is what we'd say.
Natch means naturally.
Yeah, I'm going on the natural side. I'm not really sure. I just know he means he's not doing drugs anymore. Yeah. So, yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Yeah, I think it's a like really British thing to say. I'm going on the natch. But let's have. I think we're with Carolina. Carolina, can you read the next paragraph? Carolina, your microphone is muted. Rohan, can you read the next paragraph?
Yes. His conversion was so radiant, splendid, that neighborhood kids his age began to say that he had never been a real addict at all, only a journalist along for the smell of the story. The mother tried several times to give up what had become, without our son and his friends, a lonely habit. This effort only brought it to supportable levels. The boy and his girl took their electronic mimeograph and moved to the bushy edge of another burrow. They were very strict; they said they would not see her again until she had been off drugs for 60 days.
Good. Okay. Mimeograph.
Mimeograph.
Yeah. And so it's like an old printing thing, printing machine, I suppose.
Okay.
And the bushy edge of another burrow. Does anybody have any idea what that means?
I know what edge means, but bushy and burrow not.
Okay. Does anybody know what a burrow is?
Is a city? City?
Yeah. It's like a section of a city. Like New York has 5 different boroughs, which would be like Queens and Manhattan. So yeah. So they went to another part of the city. And the bushy edge, I think it's like the far side of the other city. It's what I would say. And yeah, so they said they wouldn't see her until she was off drugs for 60 days. And any questions so far? Any questions here?
Radiant and splendid mean the same, right? Very bright, very...
Yeah, they're very similar.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Jose, can you read the next paragraph?
At home alone in the evening, weeping, the mother read and reread the 7 issues of Ho Golden Horse. They seemed to her as truthful as ever. We often crossed the street to visit and console, but if we mentioned any of our children who were at college or in the hospital or dropouts at home, she would cry out, my baby, and burst into terrible face-scarring, time-consuming tears. The end.
Good. Okay, yeah. Any questions here? Can you repeat read and reread?
Read and reread.
Read and reread.
Read and reread. It's in the past, no?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Read and
So
reread.
the mother read and reread.
Okay.
Good. Really nice job other than that. And let's have Heidi. Can you read the next paragraph until the end?
First, my father was silent. Then he said, Number 1, you have a nice sense of humor. And number 2, I see you can't tell a plain story, so don't waste time. Then he said sadly, Number 3, I suppose that means she was alone. She was left like that. Mother, alone, probably sick. I said, yes. Poor woman, poor girl, to be born in a time of fools, to live alone, to live among fools. The end. You are right to put that down. The end.
Good. Okay. And Yeah, does anybody have any questions here? Okay. Does anybody agree with him that she has a nice sense of humor? Does anybody get any of her humor in the story?
Uh, Sometimes I can understand, but not exactly because I think this book is a little bit old. Is that right?
It's a little bit old. It's not that old though.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's British
Okay.
more, right?
She's got like a really distinctive way of writing that sounds kind of British, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this idea of time-consuming tears, face-scarring, time-consuming
Yeah.
skiers. Like sometimes her adjectives are really funny. Um, like the way that she's got a sharp journal or sharp elbow of a stern and proselytizing girl. It's kind of like a funny adjective. The description of why she loves him. So she loves her son because she's known him since birth in helpless, chubby infancy in the wrestling, hugging ages 7 to 10, as well as earlier and later. It's like, yeah, it's just she's got a funny sense of humor. Um, hopefully you guys get that a little bit. And I think we're with. Wow, what is going on with you? Julieta, can you read this last paragraph on this page?
The last? Poor woman?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I didn't.
uh,
So I
I
didn't.
didn't want to argue. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to argue, but I had to say, well, it is not necessarily the end, Pa.
Mm-hmm. And can you read until the end?
Yes, he said, what a tragedy. The end of a person. No, Pa, I begged him. It doesn't have to be. She is only about 40. She could be 100 different things in this world as time goes on. A teacher or a social worker. An ex-junkie. Sometimes it's better than having a master's in education. Jokes, he said. As a writer, that's your main trouble. You don't want to recognize it. Tragedy. Plain tragedy. Historical tragedy. No hope. The end.
Good. And any questions here? Okay. Carolyn, I see. Can you continue reading until
Okay,
pity?
okay. Oh, Pa, I said, she could change. In your own life, too, you have to look it in his face. He took a couple of nitroglycerin tour to find, he said, pointing to the dial on the oxygen tank. He inserted the tubes into his nostrils and breathed deep. He closed his eyes and said, "No, I have promised the families to always let him have the last word when arguing, but in this case I had a different responsibility. That woman lives across the street. She is my knowledge and my invention. I am so sorry for her. I am sorry for her. I am not going to leave her there in that house crying. Actually, neither would life, which, unlike me, has no pity.
Nice. Has no pity.
Has no pity. Pity. Pity.
Um, the dial.
Dial.
Huh?
Dial.
Inserted.
Inserted.
Mm-hmm. Nostrils.
Nostrils. What is the meaning
No,
of nostrils? Nostrils.
his nose. Nostrils are your nose. It's like the holes in your nose, I guess, are
Okay.
your nostrils. Um, good. And does anybody have any questions here? Ooh, nitroglycerin. Does anybody know why he would be taking nitroglycerin?
Kind of medicine, maybe?
Yeah, nitroglycerin would be kind of a medicine. So it's used to treat chest pain in people who have coronary
Okay.
disease. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not talking about the bomb. Yeah, nitroglycerin tablets are like little things you dissolve if you have heart disease. Right. And any other questions? Okay. And let's have Rohan. Can you read until nowadays?
Yeah. Therefore, she did change. Of course, her son never came home again. But right now, she is the receptionist in a storefront community clinic in the East Village. Most of the customers are young people, some old friends. The head doctor has said to her, "If we only had 3 people in the clinic with your experiences." The doctor said that. My father took the oxygen tubes out of his nostrils and said, "Jokes, jokes again." No, Pa, it could really happen that way. It's a funny world nowadays.
Yeah. Any other questions? You did a good job. Really good reading. Jose Luis, can you read until face?
Mm, the doctor said,
Well, you could read that again.
uh,
The doctor said that?
the doctor said that my father took the oxygen tubes out of his nostrils and said, "Jokes, jokes again." No, Pa, it could really happen that way. It's a funny world nowadays. No, he said. Truth first. She will slide back. A person must have character. She does not. No, Pa, I said. That's it. She's got a job. Forget it. She's in that storefront working. How long will uh, how long will it be? He asked. Tragedy. You too? When will you uh, when will when will you look it in the face?
Yeah, good. How long will it be? He asked. Tragedy. You too. When will you look it in the face? And that's the end. Um, yeah. So, what do you guys think? Let's start with Heidi. What do you think about the story?
Um, it, I'm not sure about that. She is normal person finally because they said a lot of things about her. She had never cooked or like lazy person and addict of drugs, but maybe it's a kind of made story. But actually, she is normal person.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so, like, it's definitely a meta story. So, yeah, I mean, are we sure if, like, this person is real or not, Heidi?
A person is real. He looked to her then became some story to talk to his father.
Yeah, it's actually a her. So the narrator is a woman. I don't think it really matters. This is kind of autobiographical for the author, who's a woman called Grace Paley. But yeah, it could be a man or a woman. It doesn't actually say, so it's good. Yeah, and I guess Juliet, what do you think about this one?
That's the I don't know why. I know why, but if the father wants to point out the fact of tragedy, maybe because of his condition. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Maybe because of his condition. Yeah, so, all right. What do you think about this story other than that? Do you have anything else to add? I mean, is there anything that strikes you that you liked about the story that you didn't like about the story?
Hmm. Mm. He wants
Okay,
to.
maybe no, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, Rohan, what about you? What do you think?
Uh, she's of course she's writing this book, but at the same time she's telling more than one story. She's also telling the story about her sick father and our relationship to him, and she uses
Relationship with him.
with him, and but at the same time she's also I don't know how to explain that, how to say this. She also asked for his advice to write her new story. So it's a story within story.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, so it's a story about her relationship with her dad, as well as a story that she's kind of writing for her
Yeah.
dad. Um, yeah. Um, okay. So, I mean, it's a story about parents and children too.
Yeah.
Um, Jose Luis, what do you think about it? What do you think about this?
I think this is a bizarre conversation between father and son. I think that the father is preparing the son for a sad final or sad end of of the story related to the father, and I think that he's trying to show how bad other people could be and recover uh, at the end. I don't think so.
Okay, so the son or the daughter is trying to show how people can recover, even
Yes.
despite being in like really bad situations, and the father's saying no, like it can't happen. This tragedy, you need to look it in the face. Um, yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Okay, and I mean, does anybody else have anything else that they want to say? Heidi, or Julieta? I know we started kind of with you guys. Okay.
And there
Um,
is how can I say mm, mirror between tragedy and humor.
uh-huh. Yeah. And like the way that she deals with humor and tragedy and like how kind of yeah, how they're kind of necessarily intertwined. You know, if you don't have humor with tragedy, sometimes it gets like really melodramatic. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but also sometimes it seems like you're not facing the tragedy of it. And so it's like a really tough balance. But yeah, I think that's good. And we can do a little bit more reading. Or do you guys have any questions that you want to ask? Maybe Heidi, do you see any similarities between the sense of humor of the father and the daughter? Were there any similarities in their
Mm,
sense of humor?
real tragedy it happening on her father.
Uh-huh.
So she made another story about the other person's tragedy. But actually, the father is dying.
Yeah. Okay. What about their senses of humor? So like the things that they find funny or like the things that they say.
Yeah, there
Maybe
are
do
a lot
you,
of humors, but the humor in European countries or American is much different from Japanese. So I don't think it's humor. It's not fun for me.
okay. So I guess their idea of sarcasm. So they will share it, which is kind of it's good. They have the same sense of humor. So it's like, it just so happens that I'm not going out this evening. And her talking about this son who she loved because she'd known him since birth, but like not for any other reasons. Yeah, that is just interesting. Anyways, I mean, we're about done here. Does anybody else have anything they want to say? Okay. Oh, was that somebody?
No, I just want to say thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We've got like 5 more minutes, so
Uh,
we've got another short story. So I'm gonna try to get that up really quickly so we can hopefully read it. Or read something really short. Do. Yeah. And we won't read once because that's a little bit too long. We can read. We've already read that. We could try accident. And let's have Rohan. Can you read the first paragraph or the first 2 paragraphs?
yeah. You all get out of your cars. You're alone in yours, and there are 3 teenagers in theirs, an older Camaro in new condition. The accident was your fault, and you walk over to tell them this. Walking to the car which you have ruined, it occurs to you that if the 3 teenagers are angry teenagers, this encounter could be very unpleasant. You pulled into an intersection, obstructing them, and the car hit yours. They have every right to be upset, or livid, or even violence contemplating.
Okay. And Heidi, can you read the next paragraph?
Okay. The story reading started from Rohan. Rohan read many times. Why?
Dude, I really can't explain it. I am just going to where I was.
Started from him,
Started at the
then ended from
I'm
him.
not
And the
Heidi.
next,
Heidi,
this
I'm not
one
going to talk
started
about
from
it. Heidi,
him. Why?
Heidi,
Why?
I'm not going to talk about it. If you don't like it, I'm not going to waste time. Jose Luis, can you read the next paragraph?
Yes. As you approach, you see that the driver's side door won't open. The driver pushes against it, and you are reminded of scenes where drivers are stuck and submerged cars. Soon they all exit through the passenger side door and walk around the Camaro, inspecting the damage. None of them is hurt, but the car is wrecked. Just bought it, just bought this today, the driver says. He's 18, blonde, average in all ways. Today, you ask?
Nice. Okay. There was something too. Okay. Occurs. That was what it was. Rohan, can you repeat occurs?
Occurs.
Good. Perfect. And I'm out.
Julieta, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
I don't know if the class has finished
I
or
think
is
it is.
of
Yes, because
Joshua has problems because he has not fare well to us.
yes, he wrote. Can you see the chat box?
Uh,
Probably not, because he wrote that his computer was there to die. I don't know why. So he said that probably he will left the class because of that.
yes. Okay, I wait for a minute in order Joshua fix their computer, and if not, I said good day.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I will wait 1 minute too, and then we can go. We can go, I
Yes.
think.
Where are you from? You are from Italy?
Yes, I'm from Italy.
Yes. I've been traveling several times to Italy.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
And you from Spain, right?
Yes, I'm from Spain. I've been working in Aviano, do you know? Close to
No.
Pordenone? Close to Pordenone?
Ah, yes, 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 Avianos. Yes, yes. You
Spilimbergo?
work there?
Yes, I work that.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. In northeast of Italy.
Yes, northeast. Close, well, at 70 kilometers from Venice.
Yes. Yes, yes. Nice place, I think. I
Yes.
never went there, but I think it's nice.
Yes. I love this part of Italy because I've been there more than 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Joining all my travels, I've been there 1.5 years.
That's nice. Do you speak Italian?
I spoke a little when I was there because we have to deal with Italian, but the Italian people who had relation with us tried to speak Spanish.
Oh.
And for
Okay.
me, this was a problem because I can learn properly, but there are I had some friends who were most interested than me, and they learn better than me.
Oh.
Which part of Italy do you live? In which part?
Central area, close to Florence.
Close to Florence. Yes. I've been in Florence too. I've been in several cities like Venice, Pisa, Florence.
Nice.
Yes, I was doing little trips by there.
Unfortunately, I never went to Spain. I'd like to, maybe one day.
Yes. Okay, I think that Yusa can recover his computer.
Yeah, I think too.
Okay, what can we speak?
What do you mean? Sorry.
What are you learning English?
Why
Why?
am I learning English? Because I will go to live in London.
Huh? You are a student?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I've been once in London, but when